Well, hello there, Rip City. Happy New Year from all of us here at Rip City Radio. And we're saying Happy New Year from us so that, you continue or at least try to have a happy evening if you're like me and, you live your life as a Duck fan and you're a Blazer fan and you cross paths like that. It has not been a good start to 2025. That is for sure. Obviously, no, we dove into it early in the pregame show, but the Ducks got blasted by Ohio State at the Rose Bowl yesterday. And then today, your Blazers also in Los Angeles fall to the Los Angeles Lakers 114 to 106. This is Blazers game day. If you want to, or excuse me, the fifth quarter, not Blazers game day. It's all a blur. If you want to join in on the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and we can get in on the conversation there as well. Now, you look at this one. This was a much better game than what we saw just a few nights ago against the Philadelphia 76ers, right? The Blazers came out. I thought they played very hard in this one. They got to a deficit, obviously. That's hard to come back from. That's what this team does. Once they get down, they struggle. But again, I like that fourth quarter fight because the team didn't give up, and it did come down to the wire. It absolutely did. I mean, Ant took that heat check three late, but he makes that thing, and we got a ball game, and it was a ball game. The Lakers did not get out of crypto.com, easily. The Blazers made them work for it a little bit. Granted, Anthony Davis wasn't playing, and that makes a big impact in this one. But in a year when, the wins and the losses, etc., are hard to come by, as we've told you, we've talked about this. It's the type of game that I can enjoy because I like what I saw from the young guys. I like the fight you saw, and I like the fact that the Blazers, again, they didn't roll over there late in this one when it was very easy to do. Taking a look at the box score, we're going to start on the Los Angeles side of things. Always start on the visiting side there. Or I guess not visiting side, opposing side. Max Christie, which confuses me because every time I hear someone say Christie, I just think Doug Christie because I'm old, right? He had 32 minutes, 28 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 15 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds from Austin Reeves, 4 points from Jackson Hayes, who started in place of the injured Anthony Davis, 6 points, 4 rebounds for Rui Hachimura. And to round out the starting five there, LeBron James, 38 points, 8 assists, and 7 of 10 from beyond the arc. So a very, very good night for LBJ. On the bench, not a ton of scoring. Dorian Finney-Smith, who's still getting acclimated to the Los Angeles Lakers, a fresh face there. He had just 3 points. Blazer legend Cam Reddish had 2. And Christian Coloco had 8. Dalton Connect had 6. One of my favorite parts of this game was early in the game when Travis goes, connects on the first free throw. And he goes, then he stops, he pauses, and he's like, that was not intentional and it will not happen again. Well done, Travis. Well done. Looking at the Trailblazers side of things, they were led by Anthony Simons, who had 23 points and 5 assists, 19 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds from Shaden Sharp. DeAndre Ayton, he played just 21 minutes in this one. He had 6 points and 6 rebounds. Denny Avdia, a double-double, 10 rebounds and 19 points. And a very, very good output from Tumani Kamara, who matched his career high. 18 points in this one, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, and a blocked shot. On the bench, Scoot Henderson, he had 12 points and 8 assists and 5 rebounds and a steal. So a very good game from him again as he continues to put these together. Very, very nice. Again, you'd like to see the scoring get up, but I'm not going to be upset with 8 assists any day of the week. And Donovan Clingan, in twice as many minutes as he played against the 76ers and +1, he had 17 minutes of action in this one. He had 4 points, 3 rebounds, and a single blocked shot. He was just 1 of 2 from the floor. And I think for Clingan, it's easy to look at that box and go, okay, well, he finally got his minutes, but he didn't fill up the box score. Just 4 points, 3 rebounds. Again, I'm not worried about what Donovan Clingan's box score looks like at the end of the night. If he has those nights like he's had before where he has, 8 block shots, where he has 19 rebounds, where he cleans up everything, I'll get excited. That's for sure. I like that. But also, I'm not worried right now. I just want him to get the minutes. I want him to play. That's what I want. So I'm glad that he got 17 minutes of action in this one because that is much better than 8. Joining in on the conversation on YouTube, Timmy says, "I wish I could have a beer after this game." Uh-oh. Why? Why not? Just do it anyway. I'm gonna have one when I get home, respectfully. Gotta wind down. You when the Ducks lose and the Blazers lose, yeah, I'm gonna go have a beer. Iron Rod says, so how many years of this? Hey, Rod, it will come to an end eventually. They all do. They all do. I still think the things are in place. I think the things are in place. You got the right things. You got to get through one draft. And the biggest thing, it's unfortunate, but the biggest thing is getting the right guy in to coach this team. And I think that will happen because what we need to see Joe Cronin hire his guy. I said this the other night. One thing about Billups is Billups was hired to lead a veteran-laden team. He was not hired to do this rebuild thing. And he's the leftover. He's the one holdout from, I mean, outside of Anthony Simons, but still, he's that holdout, that last hire of the last regime of Neil Olshey, right? And so Joe Cronin, if the organization truly believes that he can get this done and build the roster the way that he wants to, then you got to be smart and you got to go hire the right guy to do the roster. Iron Rod says it's going to be Nate assistant guy. Respectfully, that's Nate Burkhardt, and no, it's not. It's definitely not going to be Nate Burkhardt. I mean, you may go into a situation where you really, really struggle and you fire Coach Billups midseason. You would still be very, very smart to not give the full-time job to Nate. Do a situation where, interim coach him and then you do a coaching search. You have to. You just absolutely have to. Air Weldon, like Chris said, we have to actually do a search. Yeah, I absolutely think you do, Air Weldon. If you go through this whole thing and you end up firing Coach Billups at some point, and you just say, okay, now it's Nate Borkrins who's been here, and you've done a disservice to everything because you need to do the full search. And that's why I think they're waiting till the offseason, and they're not anointing anyone as head coach now. If they did, it would be nothing more than the interim label, right? You have to do a full search. You need to get to the offseason where you can interview every single coach who's been fired that you might like, every single assistant coach on it. Like, that's what you need to do, and really do your due diligence so that Joe can bring in the guy that he truly thinks can be the young guy developing coach. And that's what they need. And again, we can talk about Coach Billups and what he's doing here all day long. But when Coach Billups was hired, did anybody talk about Coach Billups and his ability to mentor young players and coach them up? No. Talked about his defense and and how the vets loved him, and his vet is all about the roster at the time, not the roster you have now. Now, the great coaches learn on the fly, right? I mean, you get the coach Pops, and he has David Robinson, but he also has a young Tim Duncan, and you have a good team, and you can build and learn to coach as you go. Coach Spoelstra, right? He gets a very good team in Miami, but he is built on that. And now, I mean, I would trust Eric Spoelstra to develop a team. I would trust Eric Spoelstra to lead a veteran-laden team. And yes, there's some stuff going on in Miami right now, but if you watch all of that going on in Miami and think Eric Spoelstra is the problem, you're not watching close enough. Because if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, Jimmy Butler, right?
It's a Buckeye?
Oh, wait, no, not the football Ducks. Okay, not everything is a reference to my team getting blasted last night. Brenden, thank you very much.
Hey, for how much you teased me, I can only throw it back, man.
You're a jerk. I don't like you anymore.
Hey, I love you.
Guess what? The damn Ducks podcast, it's no more. until next week when I like you again, and then we'll talk about it. But the point is, even in Miami, Brenden, they had the reports coming out today. I mean, not even really reports. It was just the audio from Jimmy Butler basically asking out of Miami, I want to be happy again. To Timmy, who sits there and makes his wrestling reference. Is this like when Shawn Michaels lost his smile? Yeah, you old heads, you'll absolutely get that. What do you say in there, Brenden?
Yeah, no, I think that's fascinating. I've heard kind of the discontent growing with Jimmy Butler, but is this? I mean, again, we all know what Jimmy Butler can do. See Minnesota when how would you describe that practice that he had at Minnesota? That was the end there, Chris. When Jimmy Butler is done playing someplace,
dude, he's the Jim Harbaugh of basketball. Like Jim Harbaugh goes to a place, changes it, they start playing good, and then like 4 years in, he's like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. San Jose State, Stanford, San Francisco, Michigan. Yeah,
It's
I'm
true.
done. Like if Los Angeles doesn't win a Super Bowl in 4 to 5 years, like they're gonna hire a new coach because he's gonna ask out. It's just what happens. Okay. Now Jimmy Butler. Oh, Chicago. Yeah, I don't like it here. I'm out. Philly, don't like it here. I'm out. Minnie, don't like it here. I'm out. Miami, don't like it here. I'm out. So it's like, come on. So that's not Spo's problem. That is a Jimmy Butler problem. Despite the fact that I love Jimmy Butler as a player, it's just he a little bit of negativity there.
I mean, yeah, if things could, I mean, again, I think I'd put the percentage very low, but I mean, I go back to a couple years ago, Chris, when it was the Trailblazers are having internal discussions about Eric Spoelstra, and I go, I bet they are. I bet 29 other teams in the NBA would love to have that guy.
Right.
But I wonder if there could be any kind of turmoil that happens in Miami because, again, we all know where his hometown is. Now, again, Miami might be home for him at this point, Chris, but you never know. PDX could still hold a very special place in his heart.
Oh my gosh, Spo to PDX would be awesome. That's a dream right there. An absolute dream. That's an absolute dream. Be the team that facilitates a 3-team trade that gets Butler over to Golden State or LA or wherever, but it involves Spo coming to Portland, Billups going to LA, JJ going to Miami. Like that'd be great.
Do it.
That would be great. That would
Could
be
you imagine
great.
just like, Mr. Silver, we have a trade here to make sure you won't veto. All right, let's
Right.
see.
Right.
Coach going, where? Oh.
I still kind of want to wish we got to see that alternate reality with CP3 in LA.
Oh, my goodness,
That's
yeah.
so weird how that happened. But anyway, back on track. The whole point is, regardless of Jimmy Butler and the situation there, like no one is not trusting Eric Spoelstra, right? And he's very good at everything. Now, like Iron Rod, I think said it. Like, no, Sean, excuse me. He said something about Kenny Atkinson. Okay, well, that's never going to happen because Kenny's in his first year in Brooklyn and they're doing all right. I am shocked that it took Kenny Atkinson so long to latch back on, but he's a coach that I think is very good at that and can get what you need out of him. Some coaches inherit veteran-laden rosters and are just ready to go, right? And then they can build all that other stuff, but they're ready-made for that vet roster. And then how can they build the rest of it out in the short in the long term as they sit there? Like the coach that Steve Kerr is right now is not the coach that Steve Kerr was his first year, but Steve Kerr also inherited a very, very good Warriors team from Mark Jackson, right? Inherits a very good team. They have their vets. The chemistry's there. You're going to inherit it. You're going to implement your stuff that they need coaching-wise to get them over the hump, and then you're going to learn some stuff on the back end.
It's almost comical to talk about, Chris. I mean, let's remember, who was Golden State's all-star when Steve Kerr got there?
Monte Ellis was before?
There's one, but a fellow by the name of David Lee. Do you remember David Lee? Steve Kerr comes in, we're going with Draymond at the 4-5. David Lee can come off the bench, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, right?
Yeah, I mean.
And so, but that's the point. Like, you come in, you do what you're good at, which is getting the vets, everything lined up, and now you're building that. Like, I would trust Kerr with some young guys. The only problem is right now in Golden State is that mix of young and old, and still they're not really choosing a path. They are latching onto that old one as long as possible, right? But point is, back to it. It's not what Bill was ever hired for. So it makes it kind of weird for him to be in this position with all these young guys. So you have to let Joe go hire his guy, the guy that he thinks can truly change Scoot and change Shea and everyone and develop the young guys. And once they start developing and get where they're going, you're in good hands. You're absolutely in good hands. And so I would look at all the assistant coaches in the NBA because I think there's likely one that's going to be the next Blazer head coach. I think Blazer fans love to go to David Adelman just because it's the easy connection with Rick. But I don't know if he's the guy. I think he's going to get a chance at some point. I don't know when that is. I mean, heck, he might be lined up. You never know what Mike Malone's future is in Denver, but Adelman is very good there, and I would love him in Portland. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't love another Adelman in Portland? I think the bad part about David Adelman to Portland, to be quite frank, though, if we want to be completely honest, is the connection will always mean lofty expectations, right? If you bring Adelman to Portland, it would be like if you say, "Oh, you're the son of Phil Jackson. Okay, well, you're going to coach in Chicago, right?" Like, "Oh, you're Nick."
Yeah, no kidding.
Like you're Nick Saban's son. Guess what? You're head coach at Alabama now. Like there are some lofty expectations that may never be eclipsed at that point, and that's hard to do. And I wouldn't want a coach to come in with expectations that are above the clouds on day one. I think that's hard. I do like him. No, it's not going to be Mike Brown either. Um, I mean, Mike Brown is cool and all, and he did win Coach of the Year, but Mike Brown doesn't have a 50-win season under his belt on a team that doesn't have LeBron James on it. So, there's that. I think Chad made a good point today about someone off the wall, someone that isn't the everyday you've heard of him, right? And that's the one that you kind of strike gold with. Look at like Taylor Jenkins in Memphis, Mark Dagnall, Oklahoma City. Some of these guys who have done really well. Again, I don't know. We've gone through this before, going down the names. I saw someone mention Damon Stoudemire today. Hey, he does have some NBA and college coaching chops. See what happens. Go former Blazer. Go Juwan Howard. I mean, he did turn Michigan around and then bolted.
Now Iron Rod's just being funny, Chris.
Damian Lillard for head coach. Nope.
I mean, we're gonna bring back player coaches. Like you're gonna play like 20 minutes a night and get on the bench and coach.
Right. Oh man, Odin. Sean wants Odin now. Everybody loves Greg Oden after he came back, which is absolutely phenomenal. I love that. Timmy wants Paul Heyman. See, it's all wrestling stuff. LeBron already a player coach, as Aaron Weldon says. It works out. But that's my whole point. Like again, you'd have to go through the list of some NBA assistant coaches. I don't know if there's necessarily a head coach who is gonna get fired right now or is out there that they would like. I mean, for a minute there, people were always like, "Oh, Monty Williams." No, I mean, Monty Williams was all right, but he wasn't the answer anywhere he went, right? And now he has no incentive to get back in the coaching ranks because he can just sit here and make that fat cash that he's getting, for not being a coach, for being fired. The best job in all of sports, man, is a fired head coach, right? Get that guaranteed money and then get out. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And so once you do that, then you'll turn the corner. So this all goes back to Iron Rod's like original point. Like, oh, how much longer is this? I think once you get the coach that you trust can be the guy to build the team, then you're in a good spot. And then you start to turn the corner production wise. I mean, this year you're already winning more games, even though you're taking your losses. We all know that, but you are winning a lot more games than, people gave you credit for or people thought you were going to win. So give it time. Get the new coach in. How about Brent Barry? How about that one would tickle you?
Bones?
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that one tickle you, Brenden?
Yeah, I think he's. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might look this up real quick. I believe he either worked in a front office for a little bit somewhere. Actually, no. Okay,
he's currently assistant coach with the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, so yeah, I thought I had heard something with that recently. I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be cool. But I don't know, Chris. It's so hard to figure out. Like, we're having this conversation, and it's also interesting because we all kind of know that they're going to be looking for somebody new, but at the same token, like, they're still, Chauncey's still the guy. So it's definitely an awkward spot that they're in.
For sure.
They're in right now as far as that, especially with the fan base. I don't blame them. It's a couple years of really tough results, but I don't know. There's going to be something that Joe Cronin looks for, and I harken back to Chad Dewing's earlier conversation with Sean Hyken here on Rip City Radio, where it's like, for better or for worse, Neil Olshey hired Chauncey Billups.
That's what we're saying.
Joe Cronin, this will be his hire. So,
that's huge. That's why it's important.
Yes, exactly. It's huge.
That's why it's important, because this needs to be Joe's guy, and I think Joe knows that. And I think that's why Joe wants to go through this whole thing, guys, when you get to that point, and do that due diligence and take that time, because his job is going to be on the line with this hire. If you hire a guy who's worse than Chauncey or on par with him, your job's on the line on this, man. So you have to hit it. So he's going to want to do his research and figure it out. Absolutely is. Taking a look at the YouTube chat again. Sean throws out Sam Cassell. Let's see. Mike Rice, Mike Barrett as the assistant. Timmy's got jokes all the time. I looked it up. We had the same wins in 2015 and 16 at this point, and we made the playoffs. It's all up in the air. Okay, I'm going to take your word for it. That's a good pull right there. Coach worse than Timmy says, "Oh Lord, don't put that out in the air." A coach worse than Chauncey. Oh, that would be kind of funny. Um, no, Sean, I really don't. He says if the team made a push to be competitive with some trades and became like the Rockets, would the Blazers retain Chauncey? I really don't think they would. I really feel like gut tells me this. It's the writing's on the wall, man, and it'd have to be a miraculous turnaround. It would have to be miraculous. Miraculous. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. If you're on hold, stay there. I'm going to the phone lines when we get back. I promise. Thank you for your patience. Elijah throws back out Peyton Pritchard. Boy, we're not bringing him back as coach. I still say trade for Peyton Pritchard and then hire Coach V. They did win 4 straight at West Lynn. See what could happen.
And there's a lot of talent. Sam Levitt, Peyton Pritchard. I mean, West Lynn's pumping it out, man.
They absolutely are. Your boy Jaden Grant.
That too. I mean, many more. Yeah, absolutely.
West Lynn legend. He was on those Peyton Pritchard teams, baby.
Yeah.
Extremely likable kid. I rooted.
He is. He's an awesome.
Maybe that's my hard part of getting like where I don't like all the trolling you and I talk about because I have a soft spot for Oregon State, having covered them for so long professionally, and then covered a bunch of high school kids who went there to play. Just want to see those guys do good, man. Jaden Grant was awesome. All right, Chris Burkhardt here with you. This is the 5th quarter. We roll on after the break right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
It's time for the fifth quarter shot of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Up top to Kamara. Wants to get it to Simons and does. Christie defends him. Screen to the left. He goes with it. Simon steps back for three. Buries it. Falling away. 103-100. 3-point game. Simons has 23. His fourth made three of the night.
It's time for the fifth quarter drive of the night on your home of the Portland Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Bounce pass to Kamara in the corner. 16 to shoot. Hachimura's in front of him. Jab, step, bump, gets into the lane. Drive, floats it up, around and out, gets his own rebound. Putback is in. Tuani Kamara has matched a career high with 18 points.
And there are your drive and your shot of the night here on the fifth quarter. If you want to join in on the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio as well, and you can get in on the conversation there. Another name out there, you risk it because he's, kind of young in the coaching ranks. But Royal Ivey is another name that I think is worth watching. He's on the Houston staff right now with Ime, but he's got a good tenure. He's been an assistant coach for 2016, so he's going on 9 years now. He's been on Billy Donovan's staff, David Fizdale's staff. He's coached with Steve Nash and Jacques Vaughn, and then obviously Ime Udoka, and a good young guy. And Ime is good at that, developing players too. And I think Royals kind of built in that same mold. So I think that's a name to definitely pay attention to. Not saying that's a guy. That's the guy. I'm just saying pay attention to it. Not a bad name at all. Also, another name that I'm kind of surprised has never got another crack at it, even though it fizzled out in Sacramento. Everything fizzled out in Sacramento. I liked Dave Yeager. Mainly because I saw him play head games with Terry Stotts one time, and I would never stop. I'll never forget it. I'll keep tracking up.
Yeah, I've been particularly this goes way back, right? So I've been impressed with Dave Yeager since he was, I believe, his first or second year when that team unfortunately beat the Portland Trailblazers in the, I don't even know what round it was, probably about a decade ago with the old version of the Blazers. And it's like, this Memphis team that had Gasol and that was the Bano Udris series, if you remember that one, Chris. That was just going to nail every mid-range shot he can take. But that would be intriguing. He's had a couple spots where he's been head coach. And, maybe you find something like Terry Stotts where, head coach a couple times before didn't work out, but the right set of circumstances, he can work out, right? So that would be intriguing to me.
Yeah, and Terry Stotts is definitely, I think, a name to watch, too. You can't tell me that with a point guard who plays as quick as De'Aaron Fox that Terry Stotts wouldn't be a pretty damn good coach in Sacramento. With the way
probably all offense, no defense though.
It doesn't.
All gas, no brakes.
It doesn't matter. Say. That's just how he coaches.
Yes,
but that
sir.
offense ran by De'Aaron Fox with how quick he is. That's a good. And for a team that is kind of on the cusp, and they made the playoffs, then they fell off, and obviously there's some roster stuff in there. I do think Terry could fix that. I like Terry. I would have kept Terry if things were going good in Portland. I just think it was just time. It was time for some new blood, and then the rest, as they say, is history, and it hurts. Ow, pain. But I like Dave Yeager. I also really like David Fizdale, but mainly just for the take that for data line that he bestowed upon that.
Dude, we could uncover that, Chris, dust it off, get that one going again. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, and Darvin Ham. I'm just gonna say it so everyone stops it. All right, let's head out to the phones here. Elijah's been waiting patiently. Elijah, welcome into the fifth quarter. Hello, Elijah. Never mind, Elijah. I was just joking. The floor was yours, and then you said no. Don't do that. Don't get scared. Air Weldon wanted to know if he was going to say Darvin Ham because he typed it 5 times in the chat. Hey, Darvin Ham. Is it like Beetlejuice? Like, did he say it 3 times? He's your head coach. I'm here. I'm the coach with the most. No, I don't think so. Also, Darvin Ham, not good. Let's stop with that nonsense. Ay. As I'm talking here, I'm looking through like the name of assistant coaches. You guys can do this too, by the way. Very handy. NBAcoaches.com/NBA assistant coaches, NBA dash assistant dash coaches. And you can get a full list of all the assistant coaching staffs. Actually, very, very handy. Very, very handy. I'll throw this out again just because he's the only coach on this list that I have a personal relationship with. But Daniel Brady, New York Knicks assistant coach, dude, I love that dude. Worked with him for passing at NBC for a short time before he got into coaching, and like I've told you guys before, started as an assistant video coordinator.
Ooh, I do like that.
That is the Eric Spoelstra route. And he's a Portland kid, so it makes sense. But he's been on JB Bickerstaff's staff, Mike Budenholzer's staff, Billy Donovan's staff, Tom Thibodeau's staff, and he was on Grant Gibbs' staff. And you're like, who's Grant Gibbs? That was with the he was an assistant coach with the Oklahoma City Blue. So he did some G League stuff too. So he's been around working his way up, and now he's actually 23, 24 was his first year, Brenden, where he actually got promoted. He was the actual legit assistant head coach, not player development or anything like that.
He said he's with the Knicks right now currently?
He is with the Knicks, coaching with Coach Tibbs.
Okay, that wouldn't like, bar none, like you go back and you look a couple years ago, I mean, when Chauncey was coming out, like he was considered to be kind of a riser, right? He had spent at least 1 year, can't remember if it's 1 or 2, on Ty Lue's staff, same kind of thing. But what we've seen now, Chris, the Knicks would be intriguing. I think the Blazers would have to have a hard look at pretty much anybody who sits on Boston's bench. Because you go 3 years ago, Brad Stevens was in the head chair, and how many now head coaches did he have under him? Will Hardy,
right.
So on and so forth. So yeah, I'd be very curious because Boston seems to be able to put out some pretty good coaches. Ime Udoka and then obviously Joe Mazzulla now. So that's add in Brad Stevens. That's like 4 bona fide NBA head coaches in 4 years?
That's where I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that it's Portland's job in the least, but I wouldn't be surprised when Sam Cassell gets his shot.
Yeah. No, that's and he's an assistant there, so that's intriguing. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Hey, or go Tony Dobbins because he's been with the Celtics since 2019, and he started as a video coordinator too. So hey, if you started as a video coordinator, I'm just automatically throwing you high up on the list. Thank you, Eric Spoelstra, for just totally changing how I think about coaches and coordinators. Absolutely. But yeah, again, use that site, guys, because it's really helpful. Because then you can just click on a name and it's going to give you all the information that you need. It doesn't mean you know anything, because I always crack up when I really like this assistant coach. You know nothing about that assistant coach. Now, come on. But yeah, and no, Billups was not a riser, by the way, Brenden. He spent 1 year as an assistant head coach on that staff in LA. No prior coaching staff.
Yeah.
And was like away from the game for years. So it's like that one is just such a weird hire. It's like when Neil likes a guy. When Neil liked a guy, he got his guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Like he was stubborn amongst all stubborn. Like he likes him. You could say that hey, Neil, he's got, this it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, it's like, oh, yeah, he finally gets 45-year-old Pau Gasol because Pau Gasol had been linked to Portland forever. Al-Farouq Aminu was a Neil Olshey guy drafted in LA, right? So it's like, come on. If you're
it was
Neil,
like the 2011, 2012 draft or 2013 draft. We've determined he was just Tony Snell, Cody Zeller, just so many guys.
Yeah, you think Elijah says Becky Hammond? That ship sailed when she didn't get hired the first time. If there's going to be a female head coach in the NBA and it's not Dawn Staley, I riot. She's
got to be next.
She's goated for me. Becky Hammond also, like, do you really want to go down that path? Because of she was a little mean to some of those players, a little harassy, not very nice.
No, I would absolutely have no pause giving Dawn Staley a head coaching job. She could dominate. I firmly believe that.
I just like Dawn Staley. She's one of my faves. She's so good. Everyone talks about the whole, like female coach in the men's locker room. Like, how do you command their respect, right? And, some people respect a woman in power in front of them. Some people don't. Let's just be honest.
Sure.
Like I do. Like, I do not care. All I care about when in my boss or the person is do they know what they're talking about? If they know how to do their job, I do not care. That's all I care about. But you want to talk about a woman who could walk into a room and command the respect of every single man in that room? Yeah, Dawn Staley, especially if you're talking hoopers. Because here's the thing about hoopers: they if you know hoop, they're gonna be good.
And I
They're
just
gonna be good.
remember,
She knows hoop.
Yeah, I remember Dame was involved in some of the because Don Staley interviewed with Portland. I remember he was just kind of like, what, impressed. And I think that, she may decide she wants to stay in South Carolina forever, right? That wouldn't surprise me either. But if she ever got a shot, I would feel no qualms about taking a flyer on Dawn Staley because she would most likely dominate.
Yeah, you're also going to get to a point here, Brenden, where pretty soon those head coaches in college sports who were making millions when the players were making money, who are now, some of them, starting to make less than the coaches or the players they coach. Yeah, only a matter of time before those coaches start asking for their equivalent piece of the pie back, right?
Right, yeah.
Right? And so you might get to a point where those coaches are getting paid so good that, I don't need to go to the NBA or the WNBA or the NFL because I'm making just a fat stack of cash. Really interesting when you think about it. All right, if you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. YouTube.com is where you go to jump in on the chat. I'll chat with you guys here during the break via my keyboard. I got typing skills. And, of course, Twitter, Blue Sky, Chris J. Burkhardt is the name, B_slot. Hit us up, ask us questions. We'll answer them. We're going to take a break here, though, when we come back. It's time for the Coach's Corner. We're going to hand out a game ball. Then we're going to get out of here. These darn 7:30 tips, man, they make us go late. Chris Burkhardt here with you, joined by Brenden Slaughter. This is the fifth quarter presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
For the latest on tonight's game, we head to the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, I loved everything about how we fought back down the stretch. They got out, and opened the game up on some turnovers and, some tough shots. They made us pay. But I was so proud of our guys. Ended up going small, and I thought the small lineup was really good for us. A lot of energy, a lot of pace. We shared the basketball. I thought it was a really good unit for us. We cut it to 3. It's a one-possession game. LeBron hits an incredible shot, on a good defensive play by Shea, contested, pump. It was a great shot. There's nothing that you could do about that. But I really did. I loved how we played in the game overall, in particular in the fourth quarter.
Very spirited performance on both ends from Denny Autvia. What did you like about the way he played tonight?
Yeah, Denny. We're starting to grow accustomed to that's just Denny, and we're fortunate about that. But he always plays with so much fire, so much passion out there. I think our guys really feed off of it, so that was amazing. I thought Tumani's game was just always Tumani. He's all over the dang place. He's guarding LeBron. He's guarding Austin Reeves. He's guarding everybody that touches the ball. A lot of times he's offensive rebound. He's defense. He's doing everything. So I love this game as well. I thought Scoot gave us great minutes. Shaden was good. Ant, congrats to Ant, for his 5,000th point, and number 3 in the three-point land history for the Blazers. That's amazing too. So we had some good, some good contributions out there.
Coach, when you have success with a small lineup like that in the fourth quarter, is that something that would work other times too, or is that like you have to see how the game is going before you can pull something like that?
Yeah, it could work a lot of times, but you got to be very, strategic and cautious about when you do it, minutes and rotations and things, sometimes you might want to go to that, but 2 of those guys may have been going for so long that are tired, so you can't, it may not be as effective. But yeah, I've liked it most of the season, kind of going to those small lineups, and I just thought it really helped us out in today's game.
Chauncey, you mentioned about Ant's milestones with the 5,000 points, the number 3 on the three-point list all time. What do you think has gone into him being able to achieve these kind of milestones at this point in his career?
I think the main thing is just so much hard work, so much hard work his summers, and him being dedicated to his craft, dedicated to trying to get better, knowing that his role has evolved every single year, which means the more attention and the bigger your role is, the more attention you will garner from the other team. Figuring out how teams play, you have coverages. Then you got to figure out your own team. How to make players better and who can help you be better out there. So it's a lot, but he's doing it every single year, and he continues to get better.
There's Coach. I didn't know if you were going to play the next thing or not. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Nothing like dead air, and it's the host's fault, not yours. Not yours. Air Weldon said there's lots of joking going on in the YouTube chat, which I love. It's awesome. But he says, honestly, back to the game. We just didn't get any baskets during their runs to break them up. We would have been in a better position to win had we just had a few more misses and, LeBron James not been out there playing. And here's the thing, Air Weldon. I agree. I don't think it was a terrible game. Like they could have done some stuff. Quite frankly, they put themselves in a decent position at the end to make it a game. The bad part, and it's kind of what you hinted at there, is that it is so hard for this team to match runs and then come back. Like it's once a team gets out to a lead, this team does not tend to get out of those deficits. And I think Casey Holdall said that as well a couple days ago on the pregame show with Chad. It's just hard. They just don't have those weapons and that DNA in them, and just those offensive guys who can go out there and go bucket, and go on big runs. When they do go on runs, which feel rare, they end up putting together games where they kind of win those games where they go on those runs, or at least they keep them super, super close until late. when the offense is churning, the offense just isn't churning enough, right? I mean, you look at this one, and let's be frank. I mean, Tamani Kamara, 18 points. He's tied for third most points. Denny Avdia did his thing, and so did Shaden Sharp. But it's like you can't rely on Tamani Kamara to go out there and get 18 points a night. Like, that's just not his bag, right? That's not his game. That's not what he excels at. He did it tonight. That was great. But then you struggled because Ayton only got 6 points. As Kirk said, he only took 4 shots. Donovan Clingan wasn't getting a lot of points. Like, you need those guys to get going as well. I mean, you look at the point balance was at the Utah game, whereas 4 players with 20 or more points. You're like, oh yeah, this is nice. This is nice when you start to see this. So it's rough sometimes. And like I said, you're right. You're right. It was close. It was the Dallas game where it was the 4 players with 20 points. Excuse me. But yeah, they're just missing a few of those pieces. And then you get LeBron out there doing LeBron things, and it's rough. It's absolutely rough. And Kirk is, I think Kirk's making a good point too. Like, not getting DA involved enough in the offense in tonight's game to have your center only have 4 shots when their shot blocker is out, and they don't really have a presence at the rim. That's bad. That's bad. You should have found ways to get him involved for sure. And honestly, find ways for Clingan and Robert Williams to get to the rim. Like, that's what you want in a game like this. Granted, Robert Williams didn't play, but I'm just saying, like, when you don't have a shot blocker out there, you want a guy, you attack the rim. Attack the rim. Man, do it. Get Clingan going. Get Ayton going. So I get what you're saying there, Kirk. It's a good point. I'll agree with you. See, Kirk, I don't always disagree with you. I agree with you sometimes. See? We're having fun here. I appreciate you as always. Just playing. All right, Brenden, game ball. With 23 points, so that's nice. But he did get 4 3-pointers, passing officially now Wesley Matthews for 3rd all-time on the Trailblazers 3-point made list. So there you go. Good job, Ant. How many more do you get before you're shipped out of town? That was mean. I appreciate Ant and everything he does. Very good basketball player. I still struggle to understand why they put the ball in his hands so much when he's such an effective catch-and-shoot 3-point maker. Put the man where he's going to excel, okay? This makes sense to me. Let's see. Top 3, Eric Weldon. Also crazy when you think about it, when you look at the list of all-time 3-pointers, and it's like all guys who have played for the Blazers in the last decade, because the 3-point shot is just so prominent now. It's unreal. It is unreal. Now, the game has changed, so you can't hate that. But the one I do hate, Brenden, a little bit, is I do hate when they're like, okay, I loved Ashton Genty, right? But they're like, oh, Ashton Genty about to break it, or Saquon Barkley about to break Barry Sanders' record. Yeah, well, they play an extra game now in the NFL that wasn't around when Barry Sanders played, right? Ashton Genty played, 13 games, 14 games this year. Barry Sanders set that record in 11.
Right.
When you're playing more games than they used to back in the day, the record doesn't really count. Like, it needs an asterisk next to it. Like, yeah, he broke Barry Sanders' record in 3 more games than it took Barry Sanders to set it, right? Like, oh, he set the all-time 3-point record. Yeah, in a league now that they play more games, whatever it is. It's just like, okay. Now, when the game just naturally changes, it's a little bit different to me. But when you're playing more games, of course you're going to set more records. Duh. Just logic, right? Logic. All right, that's going to do it for the 5th quarter tonight. You guys have been awesome. We're going past 11 because, these 7:30 tips, they really throw us off. They're wild. None of that. LA, just do what everyone else does. Play at 11. Make your excuses. Oh, well, LA traffic's bad. Well, then leave earlier. Simple. All right, we'll be back to it, though, on Saturday. Damian Lillard and the Milwaukee Bucks, I still don't like saying that out loud, playing host to the Portland Trailblazers. Tip-off at 5 p.m. So we have Blazers game day for you starting at 3 o'clock to get you ready. And hopefully the Blazers can try to get back on track and this 2-game skid, grab a dub on this road trip. This has been the 5th quarter presented by Coors Light. I've been Chris Burkhardt. Thank you as always for super producer Brenden, For Chad Doing, he's already asleep. For Michael Shacker, who took the day off to do God knows what. And for everyone else, I love you all. It's been awesome. I will see you Saturday, 3 o'clock, right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.